And good evening, everyone, and welcome into the UFC Fight Cards podcast presented by Orange Fire Media. I'm your host, Russ Renault. Thanks for joining us here on another weekend of UFC fights. After taking a week off last week, UFC back in action with a fight night from Paris. So we're here to wrap it up and talk about next week. So we will preview UFC 307, Pineda against Roundtree Jr. coming up after we get into yesterday's event. So sorry we couldn't come on right after the broadcast yesterday. It was in Waco watching the Baylor Bears in person, so didn't get to make it back in time to come on last night. But we're here today, and we used to do this on Sunday nights anyway, but figured the instant reactions are always better. But every once in a while, it's just not going to be possible. So thanks for hanging in there, and thanks for joining us tonight. So let's get right to it. So main event last night, yesterday afternoon actually, with that Paris start time. So we had number 10, Renato Moicano, against number 12, Benoit Saint-Denis. And Saint-Denis coming off a loss to Dustin Poirier. That set up a title shot for Poirier. It was a huge win, but Saint-Denis, this is a little trouble territory for him. I mean, he looked unstoppable a year ago, but Renato Moicano getting the doctor's stoppage after the second round for the win in this lightweight matchup. So goes down TKO at the end of round 2, and Moicano was just relentless, just on top of him, landing elbows, just hitting shots at will. Just locked in on the body with the legs and just pounded away. And Saint-Denis could not see out of his right eye, and that's why they stopped the fight. So that was tough. So ranked number 12, I mean, I don't see him falling, too far. I mean, he lost to a higher-ranked fighter, but this was a pretty dominant performance. And Saint-Denis, I mean, he's awesome, but he's got some work to do, obviously, after, 2 losses here in the last 6 months or so. So that was the main event, and we may see down the road. I don't want to speculate too much, but a little call out of Paddy Pimblett, so that may be something to look at, and that would kind of make sense at this point. Paddy, looked great his last time out, looking to crack in to that top 15, top 10. So that makes sense right here, and they do not like each other. They have said each other's names many times. So I don't see why that wouldn't make sense. And, maybe that could be something that may happen before the end of the year. I don't know if it's too close to get on, that last fight card of the year in T-Mobile Arena in December. Maybe a little soon. Don't know, though. Moicano didn't take a lot of damage, so that could be something that could happen. But we'll keep an eye on, and, of course, we'll let you know whenever we find out anything. So, after we wrap up this, we'll preview UFC 307, and we'll go through the rest of the schedule for the rest of the year as far as we know it. So we had this co-main event, number 4, Nasruddin Imavov getting a unanimous decision over Brendan Allen, who's ranked number 7 in the middleweight division. Brendan Allen wasn't very happy with the way things went in Paris. He thought that things were favoring the Frenchman. He figured that Imavov had some advantages that he did not. So he's pretty salty about it, but good win for Imavov. So, he's going to keep his spot and just lining up that title shot against whoever is the champion at the time. We'll see how long that middleweight title can stay in the same hands. So just to wrap up, just some more of the card. William Gomez defeating Joe Anderson Brito with a split decision in the featherweight division. Brian Battle defeating Kevin Jousset in the welterweight division with a TKO in the second round. Morgan Scherer defeating Gabriel Miranda in the featherweight division with a knockout in the second. A nasty knockout for Fareed Zayam defeating Matt Frivola. Matt Frivola was another guy, kind of like Benoit Saint-Denis, who looked unstoppable there for a little while, but has kind of run into a wall. there in the lightweight division. Ion Tukalaba defeating Ivan Ursian. Those were the big ones from yesterday. Of course, we want to mention because it's making its way around social media, for all the wrong or right reasons from whichever perspective you have. This women's bantamweight matchup between Eileen Perez defeating Daria Zeleznikova with that first round submission. A little excessive celebration, shaking what she has in front of Daria's face as she tapped. And then a little, there's a lot of people that are probably proud of Eileen Perez's backside, but nobody's more proud of that than Eileen Perez. She knows what she has, and she has no problem letting everybody else know what's back there. So take that for what it is. You can go look that up if you want to, because we're not going to do that here. But that was probably the highlights that you've seen going around mostly on social media here for the last 24 hours is a lot of Eileen Perez. So that is our wrap up of Fight Night. So we're going to get into our preview for UFC 307 next weekend, and we will have live main event coverage. So last time out with Sean O'Malley and Merab Dvalishvili, we were able to bring you two title fights, the co-main event between Alexa Grasso and Valentina Shevchenko, and then of course O'Malley and Dvalishvili. We did that whole thing, and so we're going to do that again because we've got two title fights again here at UFC 307. So let's bring up our schedule here. So there you go. There is the schedule for next weekend. October 5th, Saturday night from Salt Lake City. So we are going to give our predictions for these fights. This is for entertainment purposes only. We're just going to go through, give you our picks. So any gambling you decide to do on these fights is all your call. We're not responsible for your picks. These are just our opinions of what may happen. So let's get down to it, and we'll make some picks. So you've got this championship fight in the light heavyweight division. Alex Pereira against number 8, Khalil Roundtree Jr. Getting this opportunity ahead of, some more well-known names. But we'll talk about that as we go a little bit further down the schedule. Magomed Ankalaev's got a lot of work to do, a lot of work ahead of him. So I think that as we talk about that fight here in a little bit, as we go further down the schedule, that will probably be the next title fight because Alex Pereira, I fully expect him to hold on to this light heavyweight title. I expect him to do it in emphatic fashion. And, usually I just make a pick on the fighter. I don't really pick how it's going to be done, but I'm expecting this one to be a knockout in the first or second round. I don't see this one going very far. So I'm going to say early knockout here for Pereira. You take that for what it's worth. Then we got this. He's gonna hold on to this title. I just have a real good feeling about this one. We broke our string last time. Where somebody that I actually wanted to win the fight actually won a fight in the main event. So that streak is broken. Now I can speak freely. So here we go. Pereira by early knockout. So in this women's bantamweight title fight, we've got the champion Raquel Pennington against the former champion, the number one contender Juliana Pena. A little bias in this one. Love Juliana Pena. We have not seen her in a long time, though. That kind of worries me if I'm putting money on this fight. But she works hard. She's relentless. She's tough. So we got a lot of different ways to win this fight. So my call here is I'm going to go Juliana Pena, and I'm going to go submission in the 4th round. I can see this one definitely going the distance for sure, and Juliana Pena getting a decision. But I think she's going to submit her in the fourth armbar. Let's just go that far and call that. So Pena in this women's bantamweight title fight. So then we go to a bantamweight matchup in the men's division. Number 10, Jose Aldo against number 11, Mario Bautista. And, Jose, he's a legend, but I'm going to go with some of these younger guys. We're going to go Mario Bautista in this one. Then another big women's bantamweight matchup. So this is a little tournament here. You've got 1, 2, 3, and 4. So second-ranked Ketlin Vieira against number 3, Kayla Harrison. And that's going to set up the next title fight. Whoever wins this fight gets the winner of Pennington and Pena. So I'm going Kayla Harrison, and let's go with TKO in this one. Probably gets in the second round. So Kayla Harrison by TKO. And then middleweight division, Roman Dolidze against number 15, Kevin Holland. A lot riding on this for Roman Dolidze. He's looked great, recently. So we're going to go Dolidze by decision. Then, a lot of great fights on this card. Here in the prelims, number 9, Stephen Thompson against number 11, Joaquin Buckley in the welterweight division. And I just see Stephen Thompson, he's older, but it doesn't matter. He's kind of ageless. I just see him picking Buckley apart. And so I'm going to go Thompson by decision, just picking his spots and making Buckley overwork. And I think Thompson outlasts him and takes this one the distance with Wonder Boy coming out on top. So in the featherweight division, number 6, Movsar Evloev against number 8, Aljamain Sterling. This is probably one of my favorite fights on this card, to be honest. I love this matchup, but I just think the championship pedigree of Aljo, I think he finds a way to get it done. A lot of grappling in this one. I think this one's a tough one, but Aljo moved up for a reason, so let's see it. I think he gets this one. Let's see. Women's strawweight matchup, Marina Rodriguez against Yasmin Lucindo. I think Rodriguez is going to take care of that one. That one's going to go the distance, I believe. So then we got Cesar Almeida, Ihor Potieria. I like Potieria in this one, middleweight matchup. Carla Esparza against Tisha Pennington. So, pointed out earlier, this interesting that probably the first time that two current spouses have been on the same card before. This women's strawweight matchup, and probably the last fight in the career of Carla Esparza. But you know what? I'm going to go against Carla on this one. I'm going to take Tisha Pennington. She's just probably more rested and probably been training really hard since having a child. So, probably got some motivation to go out there and get it done. So we're going Tisha Pennington in that one. Court McGee against Tim Means in welterweight matchup. We'll go Court McGee. We'll go... we're going to go the distance in that one as well. So that's our picks for UFC 307. It should be a great, great card. I mean, you've got, 8 matchups between ranked fighters. And that is rare these days. So, I mean, that is an awesome card and a lot to look forward to. Like I said, I think most intriguing matchup to me is Evloev and Aljamain Sterling. I like that one a lot. Just kind of interested to see Kayla Harrison again in her second time out. So, I think those are two that are more interesting, although, obviously we want to see Pereira in another title fight, with the women's bantamweight division. And Jose Aldo is always going to be a draw. So, but Evloev and Sterling and Harrison Vieira are the ones I'm kind of keeping an eye on. So let's go through the rest of the schedule. So a week after that, We got fight night October 12th. We're not going to go through every fight. We're kind of going to go through the ones that have been added recently because we've been through a lot of these already. This one's number 1 flyweight contender, Brandon Royval against number 5 Tatsuro Taira. I like that Grant Dawson, Rafa Garcia matchup. This one added Daniel Rodriguez, Alex Morono in the welterweight division. That's two guys that have, kind of been on the edge of the rank or in the rankings or on the edge of it, and just kind of battling it out there. And that's a lot of fun to see. Alex Morono is probably the closest fighter to where I am here in the Woodlands area in North Houston. So I like to keep an eye out on him and like to cheer him on since he's here local to my area. So we move on to October 19th, and this is an Apex card in Las Vegas. Middleweight matchup headlining it, number 13 Anthony Hernandez against number 14 Michel Pereira. You see that flyweight matchup, number 7 Mateus Nicolau against number 14 Asu Almabayev. Then bantamweight matchup there, number 9 Ron Font and number 12 Kyler Phillips. Then we get to UFC 308. Obviously, we'll go more in depth and give some picks for this one later on. But October 26th in Abu Dhabi. And I'll tell you, I won't be able to do live coverage on that one. Got a wedding that night, so I won't be able to get on here and do live coverage. I mean, that's going to be an afternoon card anyway, so that's just not going to happen that day, unfortunately, but we'll wrap it up after that. Can't do it every time, but unfortunately that one is huge, and we're sorry to miss out on Ilia Topuria and Max Holloway for the featherweight title. Middleweight matchup, Robert Whittaker and Khamzat Chimaev. See if that happens. And here's the ones we were talking about earlier as far as Pereira and Roundtree Jr. goes. The winner of this fight, Magomed Ankalaev and Alexander Rakic. Winner of this fight gets the next title fight is what I'm thinking. So Ankalaev's, I think he pissed some people off when the Jan Blachowicz fight about a year and a half ago. So I think he's been just trying to recover from that and his reputation ever since. There you go, Laron Murphy and Dan Ige, top 15 matchup in the featherweight division. Welterweight division, top 15 matchup between number 10 Jeff Neal and number 13 Rafael dos Anjos. Then fight night, November 2nd from Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. Flyweight matchup between number 2 Brandon Moreno, the former champion, against number 3 Amir Albazi. Women's flyweight matchup, which was the main event of this card until that Moreno-Albazi fight was announced. But number 3, Aaron Blanchfield against number 5, Rose Namajunas. Derek Lewis back in action. You got Mike Malott on this card. A lot to look forward to on this one. Number 13, Alexander Romanov against number 15, Rodrigo Nascimento in the heavyweight division. Women's flyweight top 15 matchup. Number 13, Ariano da Silva against number 14, Jasmine Jasudavicius. And she's pretty active. I mean, you see her name a lot come up when we do a show. Then she's always game. Her and Jillian Anderson all the time. Speaking of, sorry, Jillian Anderson. X-Files on my mind. Jillian Robertson. There you see that one, Luana Pinheiro. Those are two ladies who just fight a lot. Also, Karolina Kovacevic. She's been pretty active lately, too. So we don't have a main event for this November 9th Apex card yet, but there's some of the fights that have been announced. You see Cody Garbrandt on that card. Then we go UFC 309, November 16th. Obviously going to be crazy from Madison Square Garden in New York. The champion, John Jones, against the former heavyweight champion, number 8, ranked right now, Stipe Miocic. We've got lightweight matchup here. It's huge. Top 5, number 2, Charles Oliveira against number 5, Michael Chandler, who waited out Conor McGregor and just couldn't do it anymore. So get a great matchup there. Bo Nickel, Paul Craig, middleweight division. That's an awesome matchup for Bo Nickel. See what he can do against somebody who was in the top 15. Jonathan Martinez on this card. Vivian Araujo against Karine Silva, the women's flyweight division, number 9 against number 11. Light heavyweight matchup, number 7, Nikita Krylov against number 11, Azamat Murzakanov. And then Chris Weidman making another return in this latest comeback for him. So we got this fight night, November 23rd from China. So this is, you see a lot of these fights on the undercard. We'll talk about those in a second. But you got Petr Yan, number 3 against, I don't have the ranking there. I think Davison Figueiredo's number 6 in the bantamweight division. So that's a nice little matchup there. And then for the Chinese fans, number 2 ranked women's strawweight contender Yan Xiaonan against number 9 Tabitha Baby Shark Ricci. Light heavyweight matchup, number 6 Volkan Ozdemir and number 10 Carlos Ulberg. Song Kanan on this card. Then you see that the ones that are a little bit smaller font, that a lot of these are road to the UFC in that tournament there. So we don't know anything about these last 2 cards for the year, but UFC 310, December 7th from T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. Expect that to be huge. And then we got a fight night to finish off the calendar year from Tampa. So these fight nights are going to be moving around the country a little bit more because they're going to be remodeling the Apex to expand it a little bit, make it a little more stadium friendly. So they'll be taking about 6 months off, so maybe see a few more fight nights here and there. Wish one would come to the Houston area soon. That'd be pretty nice of them if they do that again. It's been a while since they've been here. So that is what we have on tap for the UFC here in the next few months, and that is throughout the rest of the year, and we'll fill in that every week as we know more, as they announce more fights. But really looking forward to next weekend and Alex Pereira, Caleb Roundtree Jr., and Raquel Pennington and Juliana Pena. So we'll have both title fights, live coverage of both of those next weekend. Whenever Pennington and Pena make their walk to the octagon, we'll come on live, and then we'll give you a play-by-play of those 2 fights. So, and you can submit, any comments, questions during those fights. But yeah. So really appreciate everybody stopping by. If you're not watching it live, understandable. Came on a little bit later than we usually do, a day later than normal, but appreciate giving us a watch. And if you subscribe, you will not miss when we come on next weekend, because it's not a set time next Saturday. It's going to be whenever Pena and Pennington come into the octagon. So if you subscribe, you'll know exactly when we're on, and you can catch us next weekend. It'll probably be around 10:45, 11 o'clock Central Time. And then we will, in between fights, we'll talk about what happened on that card, and then we'll do our preview before the heavyweight fight for the next week. And then as soon as that heavyweight fight, we'll give a little bit of commentary, and then we'll shut it down. But we'll give a full wrap-up for UFC 307 next weekend. So thanks for stopping by here on a Sunday night, a little bit different, but I had to change it up a little bit, but I appreciate you hanging in there. So thanks a lot, everybody. We will see you next weekend from Salt Lake City. I'm Russ Renaud, and this is the UFC Fight Cards podcast presented by Orange Fire Media. See you next weekend. Thanks a lot, everybody.